Hey guys, Andrew Marsh here with Drew Fit. I want to thank you guys for tuning in today. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you why the carnivore diet is probably the best possible diet that you can be consuming. Now, before I get into that, as always, I want to ask if you guys can please subscribe to my YouTube channel, like, share, comment, leave me feedback for future videos that you would like to see. It would be greatly appreciated. So, why would dropping vegetables be a good idea to enhance the quality of your life and your health? Well, I was a little skittish on this idea as well because I always grew up thinking or hearing that if I consume my vegetables, I'm going to be healthier, I'm going to be stronger, I'm going to live longer, so on and so forth. And then I adopted the paleo diet, keto diet, and all of those were really heavy in vegetables as well. So I was always told that vegetables were so good for you up until a couple weeks ago when I decided to, actually it was my brother who told me about the carnivore diet, told me to look into it. I was like, I've heard of it. I actually haven't understood the science behind it. It always seemed crazy to me to give up all vegetables. So I actually dove into the research and looked at it, and it was kind of something that I had been expecting, is that everything living on this planet, in my opinion, has a defense mechanism. For humans and animals, that defense mechanism is the fight or flight response. We're either hunting our food or we're being hunted and we're running away. But plants don't have that luxury because they're stationary. So what they do when they're either being brushed upon or they're being consumed, they're going to be releasing toxins within your body, and that expands to all plant foods, in my opinion. So a good reference source for this, who dives in a lot deeper, is going to be Dr. Paul Saladino. He is a very great source on the carnivore diet. I dove into his research and what he was finding, experiencing all of these amazing benefits when they dropped vegetables. They noticed an enhancement in their mental health, in their sleep, testosterone improved, so on and so forth. So it really began to open my eyes, and I was like, you know what, that does make sense, because I noticed when I was eating certain things like broccoli, kale, other vegetables, I would actually notice I'd get bloated, I would get a mental fogginess, and I was like, this can't be coming from the vegetables, it just can't be. It has to be the meat. So when I decided to actually look into his research, I was like, oh wow, so it was the plants doing this all along. And a lot of people won't experience this issue right away, and it all depends on how good you are at actually detoxing the toxins that are being released from the vegetable. That's the basic reason why you want to drop plant foods, not just vegetables, but in my opinion, all plant foods have this defense mechanism. They release oxalates, and it's up to your body to see how good you are digesting all of those toxins. If you're not, then you could be leaving yourself susceptible to things like leaky gut syndrome and other autoimmune conditions. So what are some of the benefits people notice? Well, like I said, they noticed an enhancement in their mental health. Really, they became happier, more in the present moment. Their autoimmune condition got better. Their digestive issues got better, testosterone increased, sleep quality increased. Now, I'm not making any of these claims, I'm just saying these are testimonials from other people. Me personally, I've noticed my sleep got even better. I didn't know it could get better. My strength went up in the gym. My mood improved big time, and I didn't even know I had any mood issue, but I noticed I just feel good all the time since dropping the vegetables and consuming a more carnivore diet. Now, to the basics of how to do the carnivore diet, because a lot of people I'm seeing online are going to the grocery store practicing the carnivore diet and they're getting deli meat. Do not do that. You have to be very strategic when doing this if you want to make this a long-term thing and actually see the real benefits when doing this diet. So this food pyramid is kind of like Dr. Paul Saladino's. I just transitioned it a little bit, so you can check out his website if you want more insight, but I'm going to give you my opinion on why I think this is the way to go for this food pyramid. So number one thing you're going to want to be consuming most is going to be muscle meat. And obviously that's most prevalent in all grocery stores today. So you can do beef, chicken, pork. I recommend beef just because I think red meat has a lot more benefits to it. You can consume steak, ground beef, so on and so forth. But one thing I want to point out here is get high quality muscle meat, or any of these foods I'm going to be talking about. Get high quality, because you can't get health from a sick animal. Now, why do you want grass-fed? Well, if you're getting grain-fed, chances are that cow probably grew up consuming food that was pumped with glyphosate or Roundup. So you're going to be actually consuming that glyphosate, which is a very bad thing, in that grain fed. So go grass fed, go free range whenever possible. And I know it's going to cost better, but it's going to pay in the long run. So muscle meat, number one, is going to be the thing that you want to eat most. Number two, eggs and seafood. Eggs are really cheap and they're really great. They are basically your multivitamin. I consume eggs almost on a daily basis. 8 to 10 to 12 eggs a day sometimes. And seafood is another one. Now, the reason why I put seafood lower on mine than Saladino did on his is because seafood is heavy in DHA, a very good fat, and it's very good at protecting you from non-native EMFs. Now, if you've been following my channel, you know I talk about the dangers of blue light toxicity and Wi-Fi radiation coming from Wi-Fi routers, cell phone towers, smart meters, so on and so forth. So consuming seafood that is heavy in DHA, as well as eggs and red meat are heavy in DHA, you're going to want to be consuming a lot of that. If you're in an environment that has a lot of those things, you're going to want to be consuming more seafood. And again, with the seafood, you want to go high quality on the seafood. You don't want to do farmed seafood because it's going to be heavier in mercury and all the other junk that they pump in it. And the type of seafood I consume is sardines, salmon. I try to stay away from tuna just because it is pretty high in mercury and that one. And then fats as well I put here. He also put that there, again, because when doing the carnivore diet, people are going to be wanting to do a lot of protein and they're not going to be concerned about their fat ratio. And Saladino pointed out that you want about 1 gram of fat for every 1 gram of protein, and that's what I've been doing. I've always been a fan of heavier fats, especially because I was doing kind of a keto diet, so I was always eating about 80-20 ground beef, eating steaks, and you can also cook with things like lard, ghee, tallow. That can be at your local health food store. You can find that. So very important to get your fats increased as well. And then collagen. This is a very interesting point that Dr. Paul Saladino made, is you want to make sure you're getting collagen whenever you're consuming muscle meat to really balance out the glycine and methionine. These are 2 amino acids and they should be balanced out, because if you have one higher than the other, then you're going to be throwing it off balance. So very important that when you're consuming muscle meat to increase your collagen. For me, I eat about 1 pound of ground beef and I'll take 1 scoop of collagen. I think it's about 10 grams and sprinkle it on my ground beef or steak. And it actually tastes very good as well. So it's very important to balance out the glycine and methionine. And then next is organ meats. Now, I'm a big fan of organ meat, and I try to eat specifically liver because that's what's most prevalent at the grocery store that I go to. And the reason you want to increase your organ meats is because on muscle meats, you're not going to be getting your B vitamins or vitamin A. And that's another reason why you want to increase your consumption in eggs, is because you're going to get a good mix of the B vitamins in there as well. So organ meats, try to increase that as much as you can. If you can't do organ meats, if you can't stomach them, or if you can't find them at your local health food store, if you're going to supplement with them, I highly recommend ancestralsupplements.com. I'll leave a link in the description below. I'm not affiliated. I just think they're a fantastic company and I highly recommend all their products. They have all of the organ meats, from the brain to the intestine to the spleen, lungs, the thymus to help support the thyroid, bone marrow, which is a great source if you're not consuming dairy, but you want that calcium source. I believe if you take their bone marrow supplement, that will knock out needing the supplement with bone meal, which I'll talk about in a second. So yeah, Ancestral Supplements, very great company. If you're not going to consume organ meats, then you probably should be supplementing with them. Next step, the very top, you're going to want to increase your sea salt consumption, and that's because sea salt, specifically a high quality sea salt, is going to be high in iodine. Iodine helps support your thyroid, so very important that you're maybe putting a pinch of sea salt on your foods that you're cooking, or even in your water. I recommend distilled water. And then calcium is another important one that I was talking about with the bone marrow supplement. You can get your calcium through that, or if you have the digestive powers to be able to digest dairy, which a lot of us don't today, then you can consume raw milk. But if you can handle dairy, then that'll be fine there. If not, then stay away from it, because you don't want to go carnivore and then still keep inflaming yourself if you can't digest the casein that's found in dairy. Well, that's basically it, guys. And I'm sorry if I offended any of my vegan followers. I'm just doing what's best for my health, and I think that you guys should do the same. And I want to say thank you for watching, and hey, don't forget to subscribe.